Hello, hello. Happy Halloween. Kind of limping this thing along right now on a netbook. So I'm not even sure if this stream is even going to work, but I'm hoping it does. So, yeah. I'm going to let this thing run for a few minutes, and then we will get right into, like, the actual stream. So. Hello, Devane. Can you hear me okay? Whatnot? It's saying that it's having issues. And the problem is I'm using a computer that is not my normal computer, because my normal computer died, which at the most horrible time. So we'll get into that in a couple minutes as well. Share the whole story with everybody. Happy Halloween, Paul. For sure. Again, hope you guys can hear me okay. Hope everything's working on your end okay. Limping it along. But we made it. Got this far. That's got to count for something. But yeah, 3 more minutes. And we'll kick it off officially. Awesome. Glad you can hear me. I mean, that's step 1. Is that you can hear me. Step 2 is, the software don't crash. It's just a little netbook with 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is not a lot. OBS streaming software recommends at least 4 gigabytes. So this has like the bare minimum just to run the program. Never mind like running anything extra with it, like, video streaming and stuff like that. So we're going to see how things go tonight. Happy All Hallows Eve, Frank. Went trick-or-treating, got tons of candy. And yes, I'm 43 years old. I went trick-or-treating. I went as Art the Clown. And I didn't say one word to anyone. I had to go up to every door and act. Be all spastic, throw down my trash bag, and be all giddy, start pulling out severed limbs and machetes and shit out of my bag just to get candy. Got a lot of candy, though. Hey, Fuzzy. No, you're not late. Actually, I started the stream a little early for that specific reason. So people could, file in before the stream kicked off. And then they were like, oh, darn, I'm late. So you're not late. You are actually, a minute and a half ahead of time. Gotta go to them rich neighborhoods, too. That's what we did. Ended up with a whole ton of candy and 2 full-size chocolate bars. Also having a tad bit of a kind of impromptu Halloween party over here. So, I'm having a tossing back a drink or two. So tonight's live reading is going to be especially interesting. But I promised a live reading and I'm going to do it. I mean, as long as, again, the computer doesn't, explode. That one's sad.
I'll grab the other one in a sec.
That'd be cool. Should have taken out stock of sugar cane. That's where rum comes from. Alright, it is 9:30. So let me officially kick off tonight's live stream by saying happy fucking Halloween. Absolutely love Halloween. This is my favorite holiday of the year. Like I said, I went out trick-or-treating this year. I'm 43 years old. Got all dressed up. I made children scream. I made children run. I made adults gasp and take a jump back. I had this lady taking pictures of me, asking me to pose with a severed foot. I mean, it was one of my severed feet. She didn't hand me one out of the blue. Be like, here, take a severed foot and pose for me. That would have been a little strange. But it is Halloween. Maybe not totally out there. But yeah, no, had a ton of fun. So, fair warning, Ooh, hold on. Yeah, two. I mean, you had your choice, so I grabbed a full-size Snickers and one of the king-size Reese's. So I love Reese's cups. Aha! See, and Fuzzy handed out full-size Snickers and Twix bars. Good for you, Fuzzy.
Good job.
Fuck yeah. The spirit of Halloween loves you, man. So, but yeah, a little warning about tonight's stream. I am going to be sharing a video already pre-rendered with you guys. And then after that, we're going to do a live reading and stuff. So 4 days before Halloween, I came back from camp. I had told you I posted that I went to camp this past Saturday for a Halloween party at Locust Lake. When I came back, my computer wouldn't turn on. So Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, day 10, 11, 12, and 13 of the 13 days of Halloween are on my tower computer. They're all done, ready to go. And I was like almost broke. I took the very last of my money and went out and bought the cheapest little freaking laptop that money could buy with the big bare minimum specs. Had to re-narrate everything. Got everything all set back up. Anyways, OBS streaming software recommends at least 4 gigabytes of memory, and all I have is 4 on this thing. So with like the video streaming and music streaming and stuff, I don't know how well this is going to work out. But man, oh man, I am trying. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Kind of a little bit of a this, could all blow up in our face type thing. But yeah, happy Halloween. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff for Reese's. Klondike bars as well. They made like a chocolate peanut butter Klondike bar. It's like a Reese's Klondike. That sounds like the best of both worlds. So, anyways, so the main reason I wanted to bring us here tonight. So usually I do a Halloween live stream, and I also do my the 13th day of Halloween, and then also when I come out with a new book, there's a book promotion. So I kind of just combined all three into one night, into the 13th day of Halloween live stream. I just finished my very first novel, and I did promise that I would be dropping links. I should probably do that now before I start. Amazon. Get to my author page and start dropping links to my book. Now, yes, this is my 12th published book, but about half of them were done by me, and the other half is with my co-writer, Doughboy420. This is my first novel. All the ones that I have done are... Here we go. Here's the link. So all the ones that I have done have been anthologies, and even the ones that like Doughboy and I have done, I guess you could consider the Locust Lake books novels because they are a series of stories. But again, that's pretty much stretching it, and also those are co-written, not just by me. So this will be my very first novel ever written only by me, and it's the only thing I've ever published where I have not narrated anything. So I've not, like, there's no stories in this that have been narrated, not just like one exclusive or whatever. So I am very, very happy to finally get this out there. Let me go ahead and drop the links. So the Kindle version, the digital version of my book, is that brings you right to the Kindle, but you can select for paperback or hardcover right from there. No, get down, please. Damn kitten. So
Stop chasing flies.
can you get him, please? So the Kindle version's 99 cents. I can't make it any cheaper than that. Amazon won't let me. Paperback is $14.87. Obviously, I tried to bring it down as much as I could there. And the hardcover is obviously hardcover, a little bit more expensive to produce. And that one's $18.63. So they're all under $20. But as usual, the Kindle version is 99 cents for the digital copy. Yeah, it is entitled Buried Secrets. It is 11 chapters long. I did have plans at one point to make it 13 chapters long, but the final chapter I was going to include in this, I just felt kind of cheesed the rest of the book. So like I didn't want to do that. No, I would like to edit this in. Why won't you let me? Oh, here we go. So let me go ahead and drop the links. book. Buried Secrets. Hard cover. Paperback. So I'm looking off this little itty bitty keyboard too, which is not a friend of mine. And digital. And Control V. Alright. And save. So I've also added that link into the description as well. So if you guys, whatever any point in time, you guys want to go check it out, you are more than welcome. Next movie party? Actually, not sure. Probably not until at least next month, but I will definitely keep that in mind because I do like those movie parties. So, and thank you, Paul, for the congratulations on the novel. Like I said, I've been working on this for quite some time, and obviously not real steady pace. It's been a lot of here and there work. So it's kind of cool to see this finally come to fruition. And like I said, it is my 12th publish, but it is my very first book. And it is also the first book of mine that is not magazine sized. It is not 8 by 11 sheet paper. This is 5 by 8. So it is much more novel size. No.
He's just looking at you.
I know he is. He's not getting it. So.
What's wrong, Daddy?
So yeah. I usually go ahead and I read the preface in this and whatnot, but I'm just going to read the acknowledgments real quick, and then we're actually going to jump into the very first chapter of the book. I have actually pre-narrated the first chapter and the preface, which is why I'm not going to read the preface, and we'll go from there. So we'll get started on that and kick off tonight's pre-recorded story. First, I got to get to those acknowledgments because they are not in my author's copy. Yeah, that's perfectly fine, Fuzzy. And like I said, the stream will be up for a while. But yes, after this, after we talk about the book and we do this video, I am going to do a live reading of a never before narrated Locust Lake story, because that is tradition for Halloween night. So, all right, Buried Secrets novella. And technically, it is a novella because it's just about 30,000 words long instead of like the 50,000. So, it is larger than a novelette. It does not quite reach the whole novel size status as per word count. Technically, it is a novella, which is actually why I didn't make it 6 by 9. I made it 5 by 8, which is more of a standard size for a novella rather than a novel. All right, so I think was that the last? Jesus, a lot of pages in this little novella. Page 124. No, that's still the last chapter. All right. Acknowledgements. This book marks my first ever novel/novella written wholly by myself. I have produced and helped produce several anthologies previously, and all were a labor of love, and this project has been no different. I truly hope that you enjoyed the story, as it makes writing all of it that much more worthwhile. I would also like to thank my family and friends for always believing in me. The life of an aspiring author is not always the easiest thing to deal with every day, and yet I find my support system always at my back. Thank you to my wife for always being at my side, my family for your endless support, and all of my friends for teaching me what family really can be. Finally, I would like to thank all of you, the fans of all my work and the readers of this book. This project is not only for you, it is because of you and your endless well of optimism and cheers. I truly have the best gift, great people in my life. So, anyways, that's the acknowledgments. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of kick off that story, and I'm going to mute myself while we do that, and hope you enjoy it. Hi there, scary story fanatics. It's time for the 13th day of Halloween, the big night itself. And I'm having a few friends over for some celebration, because tonight we're celebrating my first novel, released just in time for Halloween. So, sit back, relax, and get ready for the telling of the very first chapter of this epic story, Buried Secrets. The perception of a child is vastly different than that of an adult. A child's lack of formal understanding fails to grasp at the malicious and exploitative nature that the world may hold, and the world is frequently not all it seems to be. The fears we face as children tend to stem from all that is unknown, and thus fosters paranoia and fear that may seem otherwise unjustified to others. And yet, sometimes those trepidations are warranted. For even if the true nature of reality eludes you, the feeling that something is terribly wrong often does not. To truly uncover all that conspires against you, prepare to unearth buried secrets. Buried Secrets. Chapter 1. I Had a Treehouse on the Ground by L.W. Sutton. When I was a kid, I coveted my friends with treehouses. The thought of having my own little oasis, an abode away from home, was enthralling to me. There was only one problem with the concept, the fact that treehouses resided in trees. This was an issue to me because I was, and still am, dreadfully afraid of heights. Phobic, actually. I begged my parents for a treehouse that was low enough to the ground that I would feel comfortable using it. Unfortunately, the only trees in the immediate proximity to our house were either too tall or too sparse, meaning that if one was to be built, it would have to be relatively high up in the air, more so than any one of my friends' treehouses. Although the trees available would not accommodate a treehouse of such special order, I didn't really understand the logistics of it at the time, and simply wanted what I wanted without deviation. Now, I didn't whine or obsess over it, but Mom and Dad knew that my heart was set. When I was about 6 years old, I remember this terrible day I had in kindergarten. I had gotten picked on by a few of the older kids on the bus in the morning, and I had gotten in trouble with our teacher, Mrs. Stockholm, during the day. I believe I was talking while the teacher was, and if I remember correctly, had been told multiple times to please stop talking. I don't know why I didn't stop, or even what it was that I had to say at the time to my best friend, Jason. All I know is that I had an unabated urge to finish my thoughts. This ended up in a really embarrassing situation. See, in kindergarten in my school, back then, when you got in trouble, you were forced to sit under a table that served as our teacher's desk. It wasn't closed off or anything, so the entire class could see you there, under the table, unable to participate in any of the activities until the designated time set forth was over. To a child, being singled out like that was an excellent deterrent because of the overwhelming fear of embarrassment. Sure, nowadays, this might be construed as some kind of cruel and unusual psychological punishment for some of you modern parents, but back then, things were a little more discretionary, and if it worked, it worked. Needless to say, I had a really crappy day, and just couldn't wait to get home. The awesome thing was that Jason lived next door, so he helped to lighten my mood slightly on the way home, which included the walk down the dead-end road towards both our houses. Jason's being one home more proximal to the road, I left him behind only a few hundred yards or so away from my house, and still, I remember that somber feeling setting in by the time I neared my own house. A few moments later, I had entered through the side door, on the right-hand side of the home, near the end of the driveway. The thing to know about where I grew up is that it's a woodsy area, the kind of country where hunting was abundant and learned at a very young age, and kids rode buses for nearly an hour to get to school each day. My parents' home was even deeper in the woods than most, built upon a dead-end road alongside 5 other homes separated by copious space between each. Forest basically surrounded each home on every side, even the side that faced the road, for across that dead-end road was more endless forest, too dense to see in its actual vastness. I had taken in and scanned nearly every trivial aspect of the environment that afternoon, just as I had done every day after school before. Every bit of it except the stretch of woods that lined the back of our home, passing it up entirely, as I had done most days, due to my using the side door after school. I don't know if my parents had noticed. Alright, so apparently that was completely unwatchable because it was so low.
Ew.
Let's get rid of display capture. Add. Media source. Let's try this. And then if this doesn't work, then I'll just go right to the live reading.
That's how I'm gonna respond.
Says it has volume, but it's not playing it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you guys could hear that? Okay. Well, then that's what we'll do. Add media source. Okay. Browse. Way up, I would definitely recommend you turn it down. Volume. That's good. Let's begin. There you go. I'll turn that down some. I'm going to mute myself now too. Hey there, scary story fanatics. It's time for the 13th day of Halloween, the big night itself. And I'm having a few friends over for some celebration, because tonight we're celebrating my first novel, released just in time for Halloween. So, sit back, relax, and get ready for the telling of the very first chapter of this epic story, Buried Secrets. The perception of a child is vastly different than that of an adult. A child's lack of formal understanding fails to grasp at the malicious and exploitative nature that the world may hold, and the world is frequently not all it seems to be. The fears we face as children tend to stem from all that is unknown, and thus fosters paranoia and fear that may seem otherwise unjustified to others. And yet, sometimes those trepidations are warranted. For even if the true nature of reality eludes you, the feeling that something is terribly wrong often does not. To truly uncover all that conspires against you, prepare to unearth buried secrets. Buried Secrets. Chapter 1. I Had a Treehouse on the Ground by L.W. Sutton. When I was a kid, I coveted my friends with treehouses. The thought of having my own little oasis, an abode away from home, was enthralling to me. There was only one problem with the concept, the fact that treehouses resided in trees. This was an issue to me because I was, and still am, dreadfully afraid of heights. Phobic, actually. I begged my parents for a treehouse that was low enough to the ground that I would feel comfortable using it. Unfortunately, the only trees in the immediate proximity to our house were either too tall or too sparse, meaning that if one was to be built, it would have to be relatively high up in the air, more so than any one of my friends' treehouses. Although the trees available would not accommodate a treehouse of such special order, I didn't really understand the logistics of it at the time, and simply wanted what I wanted without deviation. Now, I didn't whine or obsess over it, but Mom and Dad knew that my heart was set. When I was about 6 years old, I remember this terrible day I had in kindergarten. I had gotten picked on by a few of the older kids on the bus in the morning, and I had gotten in trouble with our teacher, Mrs. Stockholm, during the day. I believe I was talking while the teacher was, and if I remember correctly, had been told multiple times to please stop talking. I don't know why I didn't stop, or even what it was that I had to say at the time to my best friend, Jason. All I know is that I had an unabated urge to finish my thoughts. This ended up in a really embarrassing situation. See, in kindergarten in my school, back then, when you got in trouble, you were forced to sit under a table that served as our teacher's desk. It wasn't closed off or anything, so the entire class could see you there, under the table, unable to participate in any of the activities until the designated time set forth was over. To a child, being singled out like that was an excellent deterrent because of the overwhelming fear of embarrassment. Sure, nowadays, this might be construed as some kind of cruel and unusual psychological punishment for some of you modern parents, but back then, things were a little more discretionary, and if it worked, it worked. I had a really crappy day, and just couldn't wait to get home. The awesome thing was that Jason lived next door, so he helped to lighten my mood slightly on the way home, which included the walk down the dead-end road towards both our houses. Jason's being one home more proximal to the road, I left him behind only a few hundred yards or so away from my house, and still, I remember that somber feeling setting in by the time I neared my own house. A few moments later, I had entered through the side door, on the right-hand side of the home, near the end of the driveway. The thing to know about where I grew up is that it's a woodsy area, the kind of country where hunting was abundant and learned at a very young age, and kids rode buses for nearly an hour to get to school each day. My parents' home was even deeper in the woods than most, built upon a dead-end road alongside 5 other homes separated by copious space between each. Forest basically surrounded each home on every side, even the side that faced the road, for across that dead-end road was more endless forest, too dense to see in its actual vastness. I had taken in and scanned nearly every trivial aspect of the environment that afternoon, just as I had done every day after school before. Every bit of it except the stretch of woods that lined the back of our home, passing it up entirely, as I had done most days, due to my using the side door after school. I don't know if my parents had noticed my off mood, or just were excited themselves to show me, but looking back, I'm almost positive my solemn expression hadn't gone unnoticed, especially since Mom had approached me, asking whether or not I had had a bad day. When I nodded, she told me to go check the backyard for something that may help to cheer me up. This confused me a little, since my mother was adamant about me taking my school stuff up to my room immediately after school, before I did anything else. Astonishment and sheer thrill shot through my entire body when I saw it. My father and mother called it a treehouse on the ground. Now I know it was essentially a clubhouse, but man, at that age, it was just awesome to behold. Over the next few days, I had moved in many of my toys and plastic furniture that was cramping up my bedroom into play space anyway. I had gotten a can of paint out of Dad's work shed by myself, mostly because I had just learned to spell. I proudly scribed, in large blue letters on the front of the timber brown hut, "No girls allowed, except Heather." I know that I probably would have gotten into big trouble for any of these actions at that age, including entering Dad's dangerous work shed, but I think my parents found the simple phrase too cute to, really, be able to effectively scold me. When my mom saw it, She laughed, and still brings up the topic today, briefly when she does, and at the time made sure to tell everyone what her youngest son had done. Heather was Jason's non-identical twin sister. We were all the same age, though she was in a different class than Jason and I had the biggest crush on her back then. Though I swore to everyone that I still thought all girls were gross, hoping to stave off suspicion and embarrassment, which ultimately failed. Everyone knew, even Jason, but we were young, and the three of us didn't really pursue the topic much. We were all just too busy being friends. Spring had passed, and summer was in full bloom. The month of June, after school had been let out, was spent mostly on making improvements to our little fortress. Jason had made mention at some point during the school year that if we could get on the roof, that we could likely see his house through the trees. "But I'm afraid of heights, man. That's the reason my mom and dad built it on the ground," I replied. "Yeah, but we'll still only be a few feet in the air, and besides, you'll have a big roof to stand on, not some flimsy branch." He had a point. I was afraid of heights, but the clubhouse wasn't very tall, and since it was built under the eaves of covering pines on one side, Dad had built it with a flat roof. The only problem was to get up there. Give kids access and opportunity, and they will oblige you. I once again went inside Dad's shed and grabbed some nails. Jason found a few rocks that would be good to use, since none of us had the dexterity to wield a hammer effectively, and add in the easily obtainable scrap lumber from behind both our houses, a ladder would soon be constructed. And this time, I did get into trouble for going into Dad's shed and taking the nails. Dad said that they cost money, and he didn't want me wasting them. I really didn't understand his logic. They weren't being wasted, I was using them. But he persisted, and I was stuck inside with no friends for 2 days. The ladder had been built, and I'd been up there comfortably already. We'd even put up railings, which were likely really unsafe if we decided to put our weight on them. But all in all, it was really cool, and Jason agreed when he saw that he could see his house from the roof of the play shack. I watched out that window for 2 days, wishing I could have fun and plan adventures with my friends. But Mom and stood firm. On the third day, my grounding had been lifted, but it was pouring rain outside. I couldn't go out and play. Mom wouldn't let me. But I was at least allowed to have my friends over. We played Masters of the Universe in the attic. I feel a little embarrassed saying it out loud, but while Jason and I took on the personas of He-Man and Skeletor, Heather took the role of Skeletor's dog. That might sound bad, but my mom would ask Heather why she played the dog in all of our games, and she would always reply with, "I like it." I kept eyeing the clubhouse in the distance out the attic window, and eventually, Jason must have caught me eyeing it, because he spoke up out of the blue and said, "You know, something lives in your clubhouse, and I think it's the Grunter." The Grunter was a creature in the woods that wanted to eat me and Heather, something that Jason had been telling us about all year. He said he knew it was there because he could hear it grunting in the woods when we played. One time, he convinced me that a pile of salt in his hand was sugar, and upon tasting it I spit it out, not expecting that burning taste. That's when he yelled for his mother, telling her that I was wasting salt. Jason was renowned for pranking me and getting me into trouble. He found it hilarious, and I could give you 100 other such examples. Hence, when he told us his story of the Grunter, I didn't take too much heed in it, or at least didn't show that I did. Of course, his descriptions of a drooling, gruff, dark creature that stalked my closet in the night scared the hell out of me, but there was no way I'd let him know that. Man, no way, you're lying," I said. Heather stopped barking. "Yeah, Jason, you're lying." "Seriously, last night when I woke up to pee, the lightning was flashing really bad. I was getting out of bed when I saw something between the flashes. When I looked outside, the lightning had stopped, but what I saw was still there. I saw the Grunter standing on top of your clubhouse, dude." He tried to convince me. "But you said the lightning had stopped. How'd you see him?" I asked, being pretty smart for my age. "Yeah," Heather backed me up. "Because I could see his one red eye staring at me," Jason said. I knew he had to be lying, because now he added the fact that it only had one eye. He'd never mentioned that before. He had to be joshing me. "Stop it, Jason," Heather exclaimed, scared of her brother's story. "Don't worry, stupid. He lives at his house," Jason told her, pointing at me. We argued about it a bit more, but Heather's persistent complaints about the topic eventually prompted my mother's presence. Listening to his story, my mother told us to stop, and Jason told her that it was I who was doing it, trying to get me in trouble again. It didn't work, but I slugged him in the arm anyway. Subsequently, due to my mother's words and tone, we changed the topic and forgot about it altogether. At least I did. But I didn't forget for long. It rained through the day and the night, and when I awoke the following morning, everything outside was so soaked with rainwater. All that could be described could easily be compared to a wet shoe. But the sun was shining, wet or not. I would be allowed to play outside. Being cooped up as a kid, even for a day on account of rain, is practically torture. Days may as well be a lifetime, so a rainy sky to a young child is nothing short of a substantial prison sentence. Thus, I hurried along through my breakfast before calling Jason's and Heather's house and heading outside. It didn't seem odd that no one answered. They weren't going on vacation or anything, and it was well enough into mid-morning that the Smiths were typically awake. I know it wasn't a Sunday because I distinctly remember thinking that they couldn't have been at church for that specific reason. But it was possible that they had to take a run to the store or something, so I decided that either way, there was no need to prolong my confinement any longer, and I eagerly approached my ground-level treehouse. As I neared the back side of the little wooden shack and spied the ladder, I first noticed something wrong through an audible context. There was noise coming from the woods from beyond the trees. It was coming from Jason's house, and it sounded like a group of murmured or muffled voices conversing with one another. This struck me as very strange, because if I was right, why had no one answered the phone? I decided to climb the ladder to the roof and gain a better visual perspective. The instant I placed my hand on the ladder, I felt an apprehension that I had only known and experienced the previous year, when I thought there was a monster living under my bed. My dad proved to me that there wasn't, and I eventually believed him, but this feeling was just like that one. Images formed from Jason's description. The cyclopean beast with its glowing red stare, known only to me as the Grunter, and it flooded my thoughts, halting me where I now stood. What if he's still up there? I considered. But I quickly reasoned with myself that monsters couldn't come out in the daytime. So, one hand in front of the other, I climbed the wooden ladder cobbled together with scrap. When I reached the top, my peering eyes level with the floor as I ascended, I saw something that I didn't understand now, and wouldn't until I was well into my adulthood and reconsidered these events. And since I didn't understand them, I finished my climb with haste, wanting to get closer. But when I stood to my feet, my eyes couldn't help but catch the sight of something visually captivating within the edges of my peripheral vision. I turned my head to look in the direction of the objects, over top and through the canopy of trees behind me. Clear as day, in Jason's driveway, were a convoy of black and white state trooper vehicles, cars and SUVs alike, and a plethora of flashing lights, and that's what grasped my attention so fervently. The group of officers talking with Jason's parents outside served as the source of the muffled voices that I had heard. I didn't say anything, and maybe I should have, but I didn't think it was relevant. The only thing that I thought when I looked down at the cigarette butts at my feet was, I don't know anyone who smokes.
Well, if you'd like to hear more, make sure to check the descriptions of this video, as links to this book will be available. There are copies in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle, of course. So, before we head up to the lake, I want to wish you all a very happy Halloween. And I'll see you next year, if you make it that far.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true. So on this end, it says the video is done playing, but I think there's like a 4-minute delay. So, I don't know. We're gonna see. But I'm not hearing me talk to me just yet. And, yeah. So when the story is over, if there's like a 4-minute delay, I might just go ahead and stop and restart the stream. So that way maybe there's a little bit less of a delay. But we'll let the rest of the story play out. Yeah, everybody else is on like a 4-minute delay, it seems. So, alright.
This struck me as very strange because I was right.
Interesting.
Take the line to your face. You want me to take the line? No, okay, because that would hurt. I use a sheet first.
Okay.
Okay with it? I'm not okay with it.
I think we're back. I think we're back on the air.
Maybe we can put a piece of tape right there. Duct tape. Keep my glasses on my face.
Any interest at all, Paul, is really, really awesome to hear. Well, that makes me happy. So thank you.
I was about to toss it.
All right.
Or at least attempt to
So
toss it.
I think now we have shortened the very large 4-minute delay. Turn this down a little bit on my end. And give me a minute, and I'll get into that Locust Lake reading. Because then I do have to get up and go to work tomorrow and stuff like that. So I gotta log off at some point. But yeah. Make sure I got this. That's the novella. Legends and Legacy of Locust Lake. I'm also picking out some Halloween candy over here. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of trick-or-treating. Yeah, glad we got a lot of problems we got solved tonight. Problem pop up, fix it. Problem pop up, fix it. Boom, boom. Yeah. That's right. I don't need the huge book.
I
Any type of document.
Anxiety, but it's Halloween. Everybody's doing it. Did you choose what I wanted for you? Oh, thank you for the foot lollipop. You can have it, because it's the mystery.
So, little backstory into tonight's story. Live reading, Locust Lake. So this comes from the second Locust Lake book. It is one of the few exclusives from the book that I did not narrate. It is part of Todd Jacobs' journal. It is the story basically where he starts to figure out how to kill the monsters, and think of it as like a bonus scenes DVD. So like there's like 2 or 3 Locust Lake stories that he goes over, and it has like extended scenes, like basically from beyond the end of the story. So, but yeah, give me a minute and we'll get right into that. Good night, Fuzzy. You have a good evening. Alright. Let me finish one more little piece of candy. I don't know. Hit my vape like once or twice. And we'll get into this. So. Yeah. I like this plan. Happy Halloween, Buzzy. Thank you for popping in. Now, so yeah. Anyway, so this is like basically bonus scenes footage. So like Just a Gosh Darn Summer Camp is one of the stories, but it goes beyond the end of the story. It offers a little bit of explanation, and then the same thing with the Drowned Boy, the first Casper story that was written. So, no, actually, that was the Silence of Locust Lake. That was the first one written. But anyway, Casper's origin story, I think that's basically what it's considered. And yeah, so it's that one, and then I think there might be another one that's described in here. Anyways, first live reading I have done in like a year and a half. So actually, before we start, cheers. I'm gonna have a quick drink to that. I haven't had a live reading in a while, so I'm sure I'm gonna screw up a lot. So please bear with me. I apologize for that in advance. And I apologize for all the technical difficulties tonight, actually. But again, I'm just very happy I was able to make this happen at all. So that was kind of cool. Alright. So before we head into it, real quick, remember Buried Secrets, available hardcover, Kindle, paperback, and tonight's story will be re-uploaded tomorrow, so it doesn't have all the buffering issues. Alright, so beyond that, this is Locust Lake, journal entry number 7, Reflections and Revelations, by L.W. Sutton. The glow of a distant fire lit the countenance of a little girl's expression. The light warmed even from such a range. As the flames raged so high, it seemed as though the forest were ablaze. Alyssa couldn't help but be captivated by the dazzling display of flickering fire and the dancing embers that flew high into the dark and cloudy sky, the remnants of a violent thunderstorm that had just rolled through. The man that held her hand stared at the blazing inferno, as if searching for something with his eyes. Seconds later, she saw it emerge from the tree line in front of the flames. Its dark silhouette lent no details, while it strolled ever closer. In the split second that passed, a million thoughts filtered through her mind. The fire and the image prompted memories of the campfire the night before. One of the older boys told them a story about a boy murdered, his parents disappeared, and an endless curse on these lands. Some of the other children cried. Some of the other children cried, scared by his story, but she wasn't. She didn't believe him until now. Whatever walked towards them with a dark determination and mechanical stride, as if nothing could stop him, not even death, was dark. I'm still reading that over. Whatever walked towards them moved with a dark determination and mechanical stride, as if nothing could stop him, not even death. Before she could truly comprehend all that consumed her thinking, the girl was shoved inside a lakeside cabin, housing the ground's generator. Soon she was joined by the camp leader, and a pounding on the door from the other side. The man told her to run, but she didn't listen. Instead, she left the cabin via the deck door and stood there motionless, waiting to offer help at the opportune moment. However, she was instead pushed to safety, submerged beneath the water, having fallen into the lake. By the time she had resurfaced, there was a concussive boom, followed by bits of flesh and gore that cascaded from the heavens like rain. Whatever had attacked them in the night was now gone, or so she thought. Her friends were safe. When the police arrived, she asked them about Matthew and Clarissa and all the other children that she had spent the past week with. The police informed her that the man responsible had been caught, that she was safe now. She didn't understand. The man responsible couldn't have been caught. He was dead. But they never answered her question. She asked the officer about the man that they thought hurt all those people, and he responded by telling her to brace herself for the terrible news. To answer her other question, all her friends were dead. Alyssa would learn later that the fire she had witnessed contained her peers from camp, and the flames the result of 11 child bodies set ablaze. What she never realized is she had become distracted from the truth. She had questioned them, and they refused to answer. The man responsible wasn't Todd, wasn't me. He also, unlike Alyssa's assumptions, as if to almost defy what her eyes had shown her to be the truth, was not dead. The township knows. They all do, yet no one will admit it. The menaces still inhabit that land, taint that lake, and evil yet remains. So, wait, all those children burned to death? That's messed up. The older gentleman said to his cellmate, writing the story, reading it aloud. Yep, and the worst part is, they blamed this one on me as well, Todd replied. The two men shared a cell at the local jail, though Todd would be likely leaving soon, headed for the state penitentiary and a cell on death row. So they think you killed a whole bunch of little kids, huh? You didn't really do it, did you? The older man asked, who happened to be also a priest. Well, he wasn't anymore, but he still practiced the work of the clergy. No, of course not. Father, do you believe in demons? Todd asked. Well, son, I suppose you can't have one without the other, he replied to Todd, insinuating that he at least believed in some of his story. The two had bunked together for the past few years now, and the older gentleman felt that he'd gotten to know Todd Jacobs, at least enough to know that he wasn't a killer. The thing that killed that little girl, the thing that killed all those people at that summer camp, I don't think it was Casper Stoical. the demon that attacked me. I think it was something else, Todd explained. Wait, you said it was something else? You mean there's another one? The priest asked him. Well, it's more than that. There's even more to it. Todd began his story. See, so much happened the day that I was arrested. It's hard to keep it all straight in my head. Hence, I'm writing everything in this journal. He's real. The beast Casper Stoical is real. The story goes that he just wanted to fit in, and that his mother couldn't accept the fact that he was different. Ultimately, she murdered the boy and hid his body, spawning this local myth, or so it was believed. My friends and I headed up to that lake, me in hopes of proving that the old legend a myth. Instead, I had my eyes pried open to the fact that monsters do exist. The thing tore my friends apart like toys. He had strung their insides about the trees of that old camp, like grotesque silly string. Oh, God. I even stuck my hand inside my friend's chest when I crawled over to him. There was a gaping hole where his ribcage should have been, and the thick viscosity of his insides was still warm. But his eyes... I can never forget that vacant, agonized stare in those cloudy eyes. I managed to get the beast of a car running again, having removed the torso that I had as a passenger, originally another one of my friends, and sped away. I drove straight to the police station, but I shouldn't have. I should have covered it up like the rest of them. Maybe they would have found someone else to blame it on, but then again, then someone else would be here, in my place instead. But I knew. I knew when I looked into Officer Benjamin's eyes that he believed me. He knows that there's something wrong with that land and that lake. There's something evil that the township would rather ignore. They can lock me away, and they can throw away the key. They can deny the truth to themselves until the truth simply sneaks up behind them and severs their spines or slits their throats. But despite all their denial, all their ignorance, it will never change the fact that something is wrong with that place. Something beyond what I've witnessed resides concealed on those lands. As I drove away that day, I saw a girl at the bottom of the road, or rather the dirt path that leads to that old lake. The girl was wearing old, fur-like rags, and she looked soaking wet. Her black hair hung low, concealing her face, and the flesh of her arms and bare feet looked as pale as freshly fallen snow. She was just standing there, near to the ditch, unmoving and looking at the ground. I thought she needed help, and as much as I wanted to get the fuck out of there, I couldn't simply leave her in such a way, and in danger of those monsters nearby. But as I slowed, the woman lifted her head and looked right at me. My jaw went slack for a moment, and the car simply rolled, my desire to abscond stolen away by shock. Before the vehicle had rolled itself off the road, however, I jerked the wheel and stomped on the gas pedal, wanting to put as much distance between her and I as I could. I don't know who she was, or what she was doing there, but something told me that her intentions were anything but benign. When I saw the rageful, menacing expression on her face and the way she glared back at me, those black, opal-like pits for eyes. So, wait, who was the woman then? Is it possible that she killed your friends? The old gentleman asked Todd as he finished the last bit of his own story. No, it was definitely the monster, Casper Stoical. He even looked just like my friends described him, and I saw him killing the twins with my own two eyes. I honestly don't know what that thing was. The ghost of some long-forgotten victim, maybe? Todd reasoned. Maybe, but her eyes. You mentioned that her eyes seemed black when she looked at you? He prodded. Well, yeah, but I sped off pretty quick. I didn't stick around to get a good look. Todd elaborated. Well, do you know anything else about her? Any theories? The older man asked Todd. Well, I've got some ideas. I've spoken to as many people from that area as I could, writing letters and correspondence, etc. Some of the things that some people have spoken about so far are far older than the likes of Casper or some body. Sorry. Some of the things that people speak of are far older than the likes of Casper or some boy from the 80s named Jacob. In fact, did you know that an Indian tribe used to live up there? I didn't. Todd started explaining what he knew. A long time ago, before the state of Pennsylvania was even settled, an Indian tribe known as the Susquehannocks lived in those woods, out by that lake. Some of those from surviving generations of that tribe tell strange stories of tainted ground and earth. I honestly think this is how it all started, being the first recorded account of the bizarre in those parts. They say a girl was raped and murdered there, and that her mother was so overwhelmed with grief she refused to let her spirit go. They say that she mourned in the lake for weeks that followed, and so much sorrow leaked from her and into the lake that it cursed the lands and surrounding forest. Some say that the girl returned to seek revenge on Some say that the girl returned to seek revenge on her mother, resentful of being brought back to the land of the living. Some say she returned, but to avenge her death against the men that had wronged her. But all accounts claim that those woods and that lake have been tainted with that woman's cursed blood and spirit. The soil would no longer grow crops. Livestock died of pestilence, and swarms of locusts plagued the lake and lands, giving birth to its denomination. People in the nearby townships that have survived those woods at night claim that they've seen her on rare occasions. Her appearance is always the same. A woman dressed in ragged furs, hair black as obsidian, and although no one I've ever spoken to has claimed to have seen her face as I have, they say she's always weeping, crying and moaning in a sorrowful, ethereal tone. Honestly, there have been so many ghost stories about that place, I used to assume that they were all made up. Now, though, I have to wonder, are they all real? Are all the stories true? And if so, how can this be? How can all these stories be related simultaneously? Todd finished, posing an inquiry to his cellmate. Well, wait. You said that the woman's daughter was raped, correct? He asked Todd with a shudder, grimacing at the thought of such a deplorable act. Yes, that's correct, Todd said. You also said that Jacob returned to seek revenge on those that had wronged him. Now, this might be a stretch, but when you said Casper wanted to be like everyone else, and that his mother couldn't take the fact that he wasn't, would you say that they both envied those around them? He asked Todd. Well, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but that sounds correct, he told him. So what are you getting at? Todd asked, needing more information. The things you've described, they could be considered the representations of sin. There are old texts that speak of such an embodiment, of mankind's sin, but you've only described 3, so maybe that's not it, he told Todd, and even though the man felt that he was wrong, Todd entertained the thought that he may be onto something. But when Todd heard him finish his theory, he once again trembled at the thought. Could the implications of all that have plagued his life be that grand in design? He thought to himself. Todd thanked his cellmate for all that he'd helped him derive, for helping him get his thoughts and those mental connections written on paper. Within the next week, Todd Jacobs would be transferred to a maximum security facility where he would await his death sentence to be carried out. However, despite his mortality hanging in the balance, uncaring of any sentiments of last meals or wishes, only one thought remained with him. He hoped that the priest was wrong, that these monsters were not sin incarnate, for the texts that the priest spoke of, ancient and revealing, told of 7 monstrosities birthed of sin that would bring about an end to the world. And that is Locust Lake Journal Entry number 7, Reflections and Revelations. So I hope you guys liked it. Yeah. Let me go ahead and see if I can get... Where's my mouse? Damn it. There it is. So not a bad stream, right? A few hiccups, but like, not a bad Halloween. Considering that, again, I had to cobble this together with like a $200 netbook and then like re-narrate the last like 5 stories like right before Halloween. And I've been working 3 jobs all week. Yes, 3. I'm going to work an 8-hour job, and then on the way from that job, I have to go. I have another job I hit for a few hours a night, but there's a 3rd job that my boss wanted me to hit in between. So I leave my 8-hour job, and as I'm driving home, I go and hit the other little job, and then I drive all the way home, which takes an hour, so I can pick up my roommate, and we can go out and hit the 3rd job together, which is another half an hour back. But basically, I pass it to come home and grab her, and then go back a half an hour in that direction. So I start work. Basically, I leave the house at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't really get home until like 8:30 at night. Well, again, I'm going to leave the stream up, Frank, and I'm also going to re-upload like the Buried Secrets segment. So, but I am actually really happy that we got to do that too, like this whole Locust Lake thing, because that's important to me. We have done Locust Lake every single year for, it's been 11 years now. 11 years of Locust Lake. That's insane. And I knew I wanted to promote this book. Like, I am really, really proud of this book. Going through and proofreading it, because it had been so while since I had written it, like so long, such a long while, that when I went back to proofread it, I was like intensely proofreading it. I'm like, oh my god, this is really good. Insipid. What does insipid mean? I used it, and I know I knew what it meant at the time, but like I forgot, and like, oh, I used that in a sentence. But I absolutely love the way this book came out, very, very much so. So before I end the stream, I am going to again probably have another drink and another smoke real quick, and then we'll bounce out. I agree. Locust Lake is like one of my favorite series, and I can't have a Halloween without it. It's not Halloween at this point. It's just as much Halloween as like Michael Myers is like to me, or jack-o'-lanterns. Like, it's been part of my Halloween experience now for over a decade. And I always leave like, you know, what's the Halloween special gonna be? And I never tell anybody what it is. Every year, it's the same thing. It's a new Locust Lake story every single year. Yeah. Well, I mean, 10 at least, right? Because I was on season 5 on my old channel, and we're going on season 6, or we're on season 6. So this is either 10 or 11. But either way, it's been a decade or more of Locust Lake every single Halloween. So needed to have Locust Lake in here too. It was important to me. How the fuck you think I feel, Frank? That's sad. That bottle was empty. So that was like a half a drink, but that's okay. I got my flask. Hi, Hellbound. How are you? I am sorry that you cannot celebrate Halloween for any such reason. So I will just double cheers you, my friend. Happy Halloween, and it is very nice to see you on such a grand night. So this was fun. I got a buttload of candy. I got to be Art the Clown. I scared the crap out of everybody. Oh my god, kids were running, adults were gasping. It was just fucking beautiful. The people asked me to take pictures, and yeah, even though I had thought to myself, I'm like, do I really need to put all this crap into a trash bag? It's a trash bag. No one's going to see what's in it. I could have just put clothes in a contractor bag and carried that around. But on the rare occasion that someone was like, hey, you're expecting a lot. That's a lot of bag just for candy. Is that all you got in there? And I just shake my head no and reach my hand inside for a second. And I look up, I'm like, oh, found something nice. Like, just not saying a word, just like hold my finger up like 1 second. And I like whip out a machete or like or a severed foot. Or what else? I had a wooden club with a chain wrapped around it in there. A whole bunch of toys. So like, authenticism. Like, yeah, I had the trash bag and all. I mean, November isn't the end of Halloween for me. Halloween is all fucking year in my house. I go to the store every single year and someone's like, oh, you're all dressed up for the season. I'm like, what, because I'm wearing a Friday the 13th t-shirt? Nope, this is just a Tuesday. This is me in February. What up, Doughboy? And Devane, thank you. I didn't see that. Thank you for saying the great story. Sorry that I messed up so many times. Again, first live reading in like a year and a half. Cheers, everybody. Oh, there we go. That was proper. Get in the flask. Yeah, no, I'll get it back out of the flask, Frank. I love this thing. Seems like my American Express card. I never leave home without it. Happy Halloween indeed. Me? Oh, I've had a blast for Halloween. And I still work 2 jobs. I work 3 jobs, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And this job, the 3rd job, the middle job, I'm finishing that tomorrow. So that won't be a thing next week. But I only work nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, I don't work nights. I do work Saturdays, either for my full-time boss or my nighttime boss. But Sundays is off. I don't do nothing on Sunday. And I try to get my narrating done between like Friday night and Saturday night. And like I might do some writing and stuff on Sunday, but like that's kind of all I try to do. Like if I do anything, most of the time Sundays I like just me. No work, no nothing. Yeah, Doughboy is a badass in them Goosebump Funko, but with the Funkos, because he's made a Casper Stoical one, which looks badass. He made a Jacob Triegel one, which I might have to pay him to make me one of them. He's made a Kanipke Oniga. He's made the Red Coat. I think that's it. There's got to be more. I think there's more. I think he did Dr. Clark. So happy. I need to get me one of them Jacob Funko Pops. That's what he's making them, Frank. Doughboy's been making Locust Lake Funkos. I'll have him send pictures in the Discord. He's been showing them here and there. But yeah, Doughboy's been making them. He's got like all of them made. I need a Jacob one very badly. I don't know that series, and we are doing good for the most part. I'm happy. Like I said, I got to be Art the Clown tonight, and I made a great Art the Clown. I scared the piss out of everybody. It was beautiful. I felt like a fucking celebrity on Halloween. Like, everybody that knew Art was like, oh my god, it's Art the Clown. And everybody that didn't know Art was like, oh my god, the costume's creepy as hell. Why do you have a trash bag? And dude, there is nothing that gets someone's attention than dropping a freaking trash bag on the ground full of, like, implements and other metal and plastic apparatus. Like, these teenage girls were walking by, they were, like, saying something, but, like, you know, kind of, like, being, like, a little off about me, like, you know, staying away from me, keeping their distance. And I just stopped in the middle of the grass, and I picked up I had my trash bag over my shoulder, so I swung it around in front of me and just flung it on the ground. Wham! And all three girls just, like, spun around, and I just stood there in the lawn, just with my big old Art the Clown grin and full costume, just standing there. And then they turned back around, and then they turned around again to look at me, and I'm, like, in a different position, like he was doing with the sunglasses, so I was, like, just in a different pose. And it did it, like, 3 times, and it was funny. I just love fucking with people. Say Happy Halloween. Everyone's like, Happy Halloween. I just, like, pull my little top hat off the top of my head on its stretch band, put it back on my head, give a little wave, and walk on off. Oh, I loved it. I had so much fun being Art the Clown. Thank you very much, leaders of the Lost Souls. And I absolutely love that costume. It's actually a mannequin in my living room now. I actually have to put it all back together. But just like my Jason mannequin, it also is a costume. It was worth the money. I was actually going to get the whole head mask for it, which was $60, and the costume was $60. But I was like, oh, the costume comes with a half mask. And the half mask with the cloth top and the hat, instead of all just being one big rubber piece, like, looks way better. Anyway, so like $60, and like I got a like spot on Art the Clown costume. Fucking beautiful. Alright, so I'm gonna end the stream in like 5 minutes. It is 10:50 now. So at like 10:55 I'm gonna end the stream just to give everybody a quick heads up, so I'm not just like bye. This has been a fun Halloween. And granted, there's like an hour left. I have to still finish the end of Halloween, the original Halloween. I got like 20 minutes left to go, so I'm gonna polish up the rest of that and probably smoke some of my legal marijuana, because it is legal in this state, so I can say that. Yeah, and have a nice happy Halloween, pick out some junk food and drink some rum. I do have pics in the Discord. Are you friends of me anyplace else, Devane? I could always like share them in the community tab of YouTube, but like no one's really gonna see it there. I think you have me on Facebook, so if you message me on Facebook, I could always send like my pictures of myself over there. I think I only got like 1 or 2 of myself as art, but like one of them's with the trash bag and everything. The costume is spot fucking on. Oh, not a problem. And I do apologize for that week of the 13 Days of Halloween and being those short videos. They were like, you know, the story itself was like a minute long. And with the intros and outros, like each video was like 2 minutes, 3 minutes long. So I do apologize for that. But I do like those short little stories. They actually give me ideas for longer stories. So don't be surprised if some of those short stories become much more expanded upon. I really like that My Little Monster story. That was pretty cool. But yeah, and then obviously thank you to Doughboy for writing Halloween Spirit 1, 2, and 3. That added great content to the last few days of Halloween. Thank you very much, Frank, for your story as well. That again, nice bit of chunky content in there was good. So I very much appreciate that. And yeah, I kind of just barely pulled it out of my butt this year. I literally did not finish up tonight's video until last night. Again, I mean, I had it all finished until my computer died over the weekend. Then I had to redo everything. So that kind of put a damper on everything. But we got it straightened out, so. And I appreciate that, I do. Yeah, I mean, I'll at least put one in there for you, Devane. I could probably do that right now before I end the stream, just so I don't forget. I'm not streaming like an actual video at this point, so OBS seems to be handling it better. Doesn't seem to like videos. It's alright if I stream audio content. So maybe next week, because this coming week I'm going to be doing a rerun stream like I did in the beginning of October, where I pick out a story and we re-listen to it. What I might do is download it and rip the audio and then just like display a picture and play back the audio just with no picture and see if that helps the buffering, because that should help if I'm not streaming video clips. So yeah, again, this is also like a good test run with this little netbook to see what it's capable of and what its limitations are, so I can kind of make adjustments and go from there. So I mean, yeah, we had some hiccups, but it does give me some faith for this coming week. I'm also kind of glad that like this coming week I don't have to narrate anything like tomorrow, because I would like a couple days off, because I've been busting my ass on these videos like you wouldn't believe. I bring up Discord. No, that's not Discord. That's cool. I always love a good Slender Man story. I've written, I believe, 3 of them. No, 4, because there's one of them I wrote as a short story, like a tidbit. It's like 4 minutes long or whatever. So if you include that, I've written 4. But longer stories, like my normal like 15 to 30 minute uploads, like I've written 3 Slender Man stories. The Top Hat, What Twisted Branches Weave, and Slim Pickings. Save image. Okay, now I'll go back to my community tab. Once it allows me. Sorry, I'm also chewing on candy. I'm kind of a sucker for Sour Patch Kids. They're addictive. It's not my fault. Happy Halloween. Edit preview. Here we go. Post. Alright, so you got one picture that is currently, yep, all loaded. Wait, nope. Can I edit this? Thank you. Damn it. Alright, so let's delete it. I didn't save the preview correctly. All you saw is basically my ass. And good ass, but not really what I want to show off. Be Halloween. Again, and this time not my ass. So I need my image from my computer. Change the preview and then save the preview. This is where I made my mistake. Save preview. Now post. Alright, so it's blurry as hell because it's from my phone and then like taken from Discord. But there you go. it's something. It at least kind of shows off the costume. Sorry about the bad picture quality. Again, if you have Discord, the picture quality is much better there. So, all right, it is 10:58. Sure, absolutely, Frank. And that's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna get a nice little twist on and then rest. So I absolutely love you guys. I hope you have a great night. By the way, that Art the Clown costume, extremely hot. Like, I wore it the whole night. I suffer from my art. I suffer from my art. That's funny. Very hot, drenched in sweat. But I mean, whatever. I've dealt with it. I even cut a hole like right where the teeth meet, so I could like vape and shit. It actually worked out really well. Two, I don't know how Art is pissing and shitting on everything in those movies, because there's no zipper on that thing, and it velcros in the back. It even shows him zipping up the back of it in the movies, so like it still zips in the back. There's no zipper in the front. So like, how's that happening? So alright, so that's just my thoughts on that. Very hot, and costume could use a zipper, and maybe even a pocket or two. So thank you very much. I love Art the Clown. I love you guys. Thank you so much for stopping in tonight. Really, thank you very much for letting me be a part of your Halloween. I do apologize for the stream issues, but I'm very, very happy that we're able to push through. Very much hope that you guys, just take over into the author page, even just take a look, check out the new book. I know you can get like an excerpt of like the first 10 pages. So like the first 10 pages include the first chapter and like most of the second chapter. So if you want to know a little bit more about what happens after tonight's story, you can actually go on that link and get a preview of the first 10 pages. And you can read up on like the first half of the second chapter as well. And then if you're interested, digital version starts at 99 cents. So love you guys. Again, happy Halloween. Please be safe. Check your candy. Keep your jack-o'-lanterns lit tonight, all night long, just to be safe. And I'll see you all tomorrow for All Souls Day. Happy Halloween. Later, everybody. Bye.